Students, we are going to start the next topic, that is Earth as the home of humankind, of chapter 1 in geography. So, by the topic you can understand, we are going to study how the Earth is favorable for the surviving of human beings. As you know very well, that Earth is the only planet in the solar system which support life, and it is covered with forest, vegetation, oceans, rivers, streams, islands, continents, mountains, and deserts, which help us to surviving on the earth. It provides us all the necessities of life like water, food, air. Other than this, now we are going to discuss about some important features which is essential for humankind surviving on the earth. So the first feature is the distance from the sun. So let us just calculate the distance of the sun from the earth. So sun is at an average distance of 150.43 million kilometer miles away from earth. So according to it, you can understand that's why the earth is neither too hot or not too cold, and it's favorable for human beings and for the other species for surviving in the earth. Now, distance from the earth and the sun makes the life possible. If suppose you can assume that if the earth is at the place of Venus, then there might be the life would get burned from too much heat of the sun. And if suppose the earth is at the place of Mars, so it might be that the earth freeze because of lack of heat. So it regulates the temperature of water bodies, weather pattern, and provides energy to the growth of plants. The distance of the earth from the sun makes it a perfect reason for the life because it receives the perfect amount of heat and light to allow life to be created and to support it. So the average temperature which is required for the life existence on the earth is 17 degrees Celsius. That's we had discussed before in the previous video also. So now take the next feature, that is importance of light. As we were as we are discussed about the sun, so the light is also related to sun. So as you know very well that earth is the only planet that uses the sunlight as useful as a source of energy. So a planet uses the energy provided by the sun to drive photosynthesis and provide food to grow plant, release oxygen which we then use as an energy source of our own. Now the next feature is atmosphere. So it is the layers of gases which is surrounding the earth that consist of exosphere, then thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, and troposphere. So the air content of carbon dioxide on the earth is less than that of planets like Venus and Mars. Therefore, the less air content of carbon dioxide helps to moderate the earth's temperature and is absorbed by plants during photosynthesis to produce oxygen. It absorbs harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun, and not only that, the atmosphere also prevents loss of heat from the earth's surface and helps to keep the earth warm. Now coming to the next feature which is very essential for us, that is water. So as we know that water is very important for life because it contains the oxygen needed for life. And on the earth, the 71% is covered with water. Distribution of water is responsible for moderating the climate and surface condition of the earth. Now, if we talk about why water is required for us, so our body majorly consists of water. 70% our body contains 70% of water. We need to sustain the proper level of moisture in our bodies all the time. When we lose 0.5 liter of water, we feel thirst and we're looking for the water. When we lose about 2 liters of water from our body, it causes a condition of dehydration. Because every day, naturally, we lose water through breathing, sweating, urination. So, this is why we always need to replenish the body's deposit of water by drinking water or other beverages that contain water. For an example, like your juicy fruits and vegetables. Not only that, plants make their food with the help of water. So, plant use their roots to get water from the ground, and with water they receive useful elements and minerals, and with water and sunlight they make their food. So now you understand how the water is essential not for human beings but for plant also, even as same as for animal also, because they also contain water in their body. Now these are the features. Now I'm going to discuss about the the relation between human with the environment, you can say. So we are going to start the next topic, that is ecosystem. First we are going to discuss about what is ecosystem. So a complex relationship between all the living and non-living things interact with each other is known as an ecosystem. So ecosystem is the foundation of biosphere and maintain natural balance of the earth. Now let's take a example. Relationship between sheep and lion in the ecosystem. So for its survival means for the surviving of lion eats the sheep, and sheep, who is a herbivorous animal, for his survival he eats plants. And each relationship like this has an effect on other creatures. Like if the lion eats more sheep, it has an effect on the plant. How it is possible, that I'll explain you. Suppose lion eats sheep. So if he eats more than one sheep, then that more than one sheep will eat the plants also. So in this way it become balance. The population of sheep or plants or lion is not increasing. So in this way it balance the number of living beings on the earth. Now next is your related to, so but they are the reasons, because you know very well that how the human beings are interrupting the the ecosystem or the balancing of the ecosystem. So each organism in the ecosystem, you know that they play a very important role. But just because of the foreign factors is is a major threat to the ecosystem. What are the foreign factors? The foreign factors are from the rising of temperature to the tsunami. So if the temperature is rising or it's changing, so it means it's affecting the ecosystem. And tsunami is a natural disaster, so it also affecting the natural uh, ecosystem. And if we talk about man-made, because these two are not man-made, but the man-made factors like your like pollution, which is which is developed by the human beings only. So it's also destroying the ecosystem. Now coming to next, that is lithosphere. Hydrosphere we had discussed before also. You know that for surviving, the relation between hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere is very important. So atmosphere and hydrosphere we had discussed before also. Let us look of lithosphere. So the lithosphere is the rocky outer part of the earth. Due to the weathering, which means breaking of the rock, the surface of the earth has been formed, which provides soil layer with supporting plant life. It provides various nutrients necessary for the growth of plant, which support all forms of animal life directly or indirectly. Here animal means we also, as you know very well, as um, human also considered in an animal. It also it holds deposits of fresh water and energy resources which are useful for human being. Now, now we are going to discuss about biosphere. So as you know very well that biosphere is formed by lithosphere, which we call land, hydrosphere, water, and atmosphere, gases, air. So by this the biosphere formed. So it is to be called combined portion of the planet in which all of life exists, including land, water, and atmosphere. So earth has three basic structural zones: lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere. Living organisms can be found in all three zones, an area referred to as the biosphere. It provides all the necessities for all the species living on the earth, that is, light, heat, water, food, and habitats. It is a thin layer of about 15 kilometers from the deepest ocean trench to the highest mountain peak. At the ground level, it extends to a depth of just 3 meters below, and in ocean water about 200 meter deep, where marine and freshwater life is found. Life found in biosphere in two forms. The first is plant kingdom and the second is animal kingdom. So in the animal kingdom we included marine animals also, aquatic animals, and we human being also. So for surviving on the earth, there are the various cycles which is balancing the factors which is necessary for life. So that is called life giving cycles. So now we are going to discuss about the nutrient cycles. So a nutrient cycle refer to the movement and exchange of organic, which we call living things, and inorganic, non-living things, matter back into the production of living matter. So It means that it shows the interdependent of all living things on earth, and it's related to the food chain, and it's operate other processes like your photosynthesis, transpiration, respiration, etc. So nutrient cycle, it means which provide us nutrients. So we are going to discuss about the food chain first. So food chain is living thing divided into producer, consumer, and decomposer. So here plants are the producer because they 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 produce food for us, and they produce they produce their own food by the process of photosynthesis. And the consumers are herbivorous and carnivorous animals. Herbivorous like sheep, goat, and carnivorous like lion, tiger, wolf. So they are, because they are here the consumers are together, but if we categorize it, then herbivorous animals are dependent upon producers are your plants for their food. And in the same way carnivorous animals are dependable upon uh, herbivorous animals, because herbivorous animals are their food. We are here not including human just because humans are the animals which can modify his own environment and creates changing according to it. But consumers are totally dependable upon producers, because if the producer will not here will be not there, then how the herbivorous animal will survive. So if herbivorous animal will not survive, then how the carnivorous animal will survive. And decompose is the dead dead animals, like suppose like for example dead animals. So these are decomposed, which is decomposed by the bacteria, fungus. So these are the decomposer. So first producer, then consumer, and then decomposer. And from decomposing, as you know, that if suppose any animal or human being died, in our religion we burn it, but in other religion they just dug the land and make the grave over there, and there that their body decompose, and the nutrients, minerals mix with the soil, and again plants take nutrients from the soil and it's make food for their own. Now we are going to start the next cycle, as we discussed before about food chain, and you have seen that there in the nutrient cycles we discussed about photosynthesis, transpiration, respiration. So now we will discuss water cycle, which is related to it only. So water cycle is also called a hydrological cycle. So the cycling of water is important in determining our weather and climate, supports plants growth, and makes life possible. So here in the water cycle you can see the first process is called evaporation. So most water evaporates from the ocean, lakes, rains, rivers, streams, etc., where water is found in the highest abundance, and it's evaporate by the solar radiation. After that, the next is your condensation, means the formation of clouds. So the process by which water vapor is converted back into liquid is called condensation. So for an example is dewdrops on a grass that you can see on your screen. Water in the atmosphere which condenses to form clouds. So from the process of condensation, clouds are formed. Now let's come to in transpiration. Transpiration is related to plant, means when plants absorb water from the ground and then it's transfer the water through leaves. So it is the process of water movement through a plant and its evaporation from leaves, stems and flower. Water is necessary for plants, but only a small amount of water taken by the roots and is used for growth and metabolism. The remaining 97 to 99.5% is lost by the transpiration. Now the last is precipitation, which we call rainfall. So waters return to earth through precipitation in the form of rain, snow or ice. When rain occurs due to precipitation, most of it runs off into lakes and rivers, while a large portion of the water sinks into the ground. Now this is your water cycle. Now let's come to in the next cycle, that is carbon cycle. So it is the series of process by which carbon compounds are interconverted in the environment. All the living things contain carbon. The major reservoir of carbon is the atmosphere, where it exists as carbon dioxide. Plant exhale oxygen and inhale carbon dioxide. Plant taken carbon dioxide from atmosphere to make their own food in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. From the plants, carbons move along the food, then in the body of consumer. Consumer is animals and human being. After the death of plants and animals, the carbon present in their body is decomposed and absorbed by the saprophytic bacteria and fungi. When plants get buried in the soil, they undergo slow process of degradation and compaction, which is we can see after thousands of years, it results in the formation of coal and oil, which contain a huge amount of carbon. So during process of respiration, animals and humans use oxygen from atmosphere and they release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. The carbon dioxide again it's taken by the plants and it's transferred into human body and animals. Now the carbon containing fuels also release carbon dioxide in the atmosphere when it's burned. Thus carbon from atmosphere taken by green plants from the environment. So this is the process of your carbon dioxide cycle. So carbon cycle is cycling in this way. Now the carbon cycles helps in maintaining carbon balance in the nature. And imbalance of carbon in the atmosphere heat up the earth and leads to global warming. Now let's come into the next cycle, that is nitrogen cycle. So atmosphere is surrounded by nitrogen gas and the amount of nitrogen gas is your 78% that we had seen in our previous video also. So plants take nitrogen in the form of nitrate from the soil and animals obtain nitrogen by eating plants. And by the process of excretion, again from the animals and human body, it's transferred into the soil. So this process is known as nitrogen fixation. And you should know, it is very important to know that only a few single cell organisms are there in the atmosphere, like bacteria, which can use nitrogen from the atmosphere directly. Now coming to the next cycle, that is your oxygen cycle. So oxygen cycle is a biological process which helps in maintaining the oxygen level by moving through three main spheres of the earth, which are atmosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. Now let us understand the steps involved in the cycle. As we all know that plants make their food by the process of photosynthesis and release oxygen as a byproduct. That oxygen is released by plant, is taken by us, and after living creature by the process of respiration. So in the process of respiration, we release carbon dioxide back in the atmosphere, which is again used by the plants during photosynthesis. So in this way, oxygen get balanced in the atmosphere. So here your chapter 1 is completed, and the questions related to this video is I'm going to share in the WhatsApp group. So just copy that questions and solve it in your classwork notebook. Thank you.